Hey now, and Happy New Year. We are getting over, and I am the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, here to lead you through these hard times. With episode 836 of your favorite professional wrestling podcast. That's right, Getting Over is back once again, and it is Thursday, the first day of 2026, so you know exactly what that means. We are here to talk all things NXT and AEW, two completely different episodes of television sent to your homes this week. NXT, a taped episode that did some fan vote awards along with some building for New Year's Evil, the show this coming Tuesday. AEW presenting a live New Year's Smash show with multiple title matches and some interesting story points as well. So we have a ton to get to on today's show. It is New Year's Day. We're going to go through this as quick as we possibly can. Allow the Silver King to remind you off the top that even in 2026, the Getting Over Wrestling podcast
is all about Defy.
So head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter and Blue Sky. You get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments for the show. On YouTube, you can listen to full-length audio episodes and watch full-length video interviews across the board at Getting Overcast. And lastly, please remember,
I happen to love the number 5.
I hope you do as well. Kick off 2026 the right way. Head over to buymeacoffee.com/getting over. For $5 a month, $50 for the entire year, you can become an official Getting Overhead. When you sign up, you will get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, exclusive news analysis posts every week. Again, buymeacoffee.com/getting over. As we move into the show, reminder that there are timestamps in the episode description. So if you're here solely to listen about NXT or AEW, you can't skip around. As always, I do hope you listen to the entire show. Starting with NXT, as I mentioned, they had the NXT year-end awards. We will pepper some of those into our analysis of what happened over the remainder of the show. Let's just get to it. We had Javon Evans against Ricky Saints. This main evented with no further build on TV. Saints suplexed Evans into the ropes, which is already a heel move. Wrestlers really hate when that happens unplanned. I remember Randy Orton freaking out on someone relatively recently for doing it to him. Maybe it was LA Knight. I don't remember. Javon Evans went wild on him after that, delivering rights and lefts while crouched on the announce table. NXT then cut to commercial as it looked like Saints was going to do something into the truss under the ring. Never got to see a clip of it. Evans came back with Red Dot and a rope-assisted tornado DDT. Ricky barely got knees up on a splash. That looked awful, but he followed with a great Pearl River plunge, one of my favorite moves of all time. Javon launched himself over the announce table via Tope Suicida, adding a frog splash for a near fall. Ricky got caught with his feet on the ropes, but nevertheless hit a spear and tornado DDT for kickouts, the second one that won from Javon. Saints sold his surprise really well. Evans escaped Rochambeau before countering a second spear attempt with a cutter. He went for the OG cutter, but Saints pushed the referee in the way, and the dude got completely wiped out. Ricky took advantage with a low blow, and Rochambeau, a second referee, ran in, counted the 1-2-3. This could theoretically be looked at as a write-off for Javon, considering we've been seeing him on Raw and SmackDown. But as I'll get into later, I just don't believe that's happening. Javon needed to be knocked down a peg, so he's not an immediate NXT title contender. So this loss was important to that end. He now still has to overcome Ricky, as well as presumably Tony D'Angelo before getting to Oba. And there is plenty of time for that to transpire before Stand and Deliver. Saints also needed to continue growing as a heel. This helped to that end. Super strong match, hurt by an absolutely exhausted crowd. This was probably the last bout they saw in a 4-hour taping marathon. The work was strong, but it was not the best either guy could do. Not even close. B-level match. Speaking of the match of the year was between the triple threat with Oba Femi, Javon Evans, and Trick Williams. The battleground match where Sol Ruka beat Kalani Jordan. Falls count anywhere between Ethan Page and Ricky Saints, JC Jane and Lola Vice at No Mercy, Oba Femi and Javon Evans at Heatwave, and the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge. The triple threat won, which was the right decision by fans. Those guys kicked major ass at Stand and Deliver on WrestleMania weekend. definitely deserving of the honor. North American Championship, Ethan Page defending against Moose. This opened the show with Moose spearing Page, only to quickly get run into the steel steps and super kicked with his body stuck between the turnbuckles. Page actually went on a long run of offense that ended with a confidence breaker. Moose speared him through the barricade. Page actually set himself up in the wrong section, so he took a big blow, like to his back, his ribs, long area. A second spear near the ropes resulted in a rope break. Page then caught Moose running at him for a backdrop into the bottom and partial edge of the steps. Moose barely moved a shoulder after a splash, so Page lifted him for Twisted Grim to retain the title. There have been a lot of North American Championship defenses recently. This was one of them. Page wrestled far better matches in 2025, and I've seen Moose in better bouts previously, including on NXT in 2025. There was just a plotting nature to this that made it rather lacking. It was nice for Page to get a clean win over a top TNA talent, continuing to establish himself as the best performing men's wrestler on this roster. On that note, NXT after the match announced its male superstar of the year with finalists of Page, Javon, Oba, Ricky, and Trick. Javon won considering it was a fan vote, but man, that is the height of absurdity. Oba was a dominant champion. Trick improved massively. He was TNA champion. And really, Page put together the best package of work among these guys. So good for Javon, but I would have given this to Page. Runner up, Oba Femi. I mean, I can't even. Javon would have been last in terms of the people. Actually, I'm sorry. Ricky Saints would have been last among the contenders here. But Javon would have been near the bottom in terms of the nominees. JC Jane fought Ren Sinclair in a non-title match. Cameras backstage came across Kendall Gray having been attacked, hit in the head, with Sinclair yelling for help. JC later laughed with Fatal Influence about leaving Ren on her own for the match. Jane bullied her throughout the match. Sinclair, I'm talking about. Ren hit Eat Defeat to the champion's arm, worked the shoulder, yelling that she's nobody's warm-up before literally standing on the side of Jane's body and snapping her arm backward. That was a really nice-looking spot. A Fallon Henley distraction ended that run that allowed Jane to hang Sinclair up with a seesaw into the middle rope. Ren got a second wind with a double underhook suplex, but JC destroyed her with a perfect pump knee. Sinclair then put Jane in frickin' cattle mutilation, rotating her body around for extra leverage before locking in an armbar. JC ultimately caught her with rolling encore for a win. In a match that lasted, I shit you not, 7 minutes of TV time and probably 10 minutes total if you include a commercial break. This was the longest singles match of Ren's WWE career, her longest period in 15 months. I guess it takes her fighting a champion to be allowed to work, because that's what happened the last time she fought Kalani Jordan and she was allowed 10 minutes. She was excellent. Ren was excellent in this match, and it made even less sense that she's been losing in 3 minutes to Sol Ruca and Blake Monroe and others when she's able to go 10 with a two-time champion. Cattle mutilation was a terrific surprise. JC, by the way, was awesome in her own right, but I truly hope Ren opens some damn eyes about what she can do. She should be in the women's North American title picture at a minimum in 2026. She should be allowed to wrestle matches like this on the regular. Influence attacked Sinclair after the bell. That led to Gray predictably saving, clearing the ring of the heels before locking Jane in an armbar and making her tap out. Vic Joseph is great on commentary. JC is slamming her hand on Kendall's leg. He didn't once mention that the champion is tapping out to her challenger next week at New Year's Evil. Huge miss when you're trying to sell someone as a contender. I have no idea what he was doing there and why WWE didn't fix it in post. Did not make a shred of sense. But in terms of Ren Sinclair being allowed to actually wrestle, thank you! It took you long enough. Izzy Dame backstage with the Culling wanted to confront Tatum Paxley after the chainsaw incident. The guys were scared, so they stayed behind as Izzy hit the ring, sarcastically apologizing for trying to pull the potential out of Tatum. I'm not sure what happened, but when Izzy started speaking, she had this really odd Southern-sounding accent, even though she's from Michigan. Dame said that taking the guys out of the equation was meaningless, and Paxley is clearly spiraling back to playing with her dolls and losing her mind. She spoke too fast, was way too wordy. Tatum thankfully interrupted with a much calmer and more intriguing presence. She said that she learned a lot and cared a lot, and she's sorry that Izzy is so insecure. Paxley said hurting people and putting fear into them is a cop-out. She doesn't need friends like her, but rather friends like the fans that have been with her since the beginning. Izzy said Tatum was deflecting, making her the bad guy, so Paxley challenged her for New Year's Evil and promised to make her scream. I was waiting for there to be a stipulation here, But there wasn't. Dame just accepted the match. As Izzy tried to walk out, Tatum said she's no longer in control and it's not over until she says it is. Then she ducked a blindside kick and hit cemetery drive to stand tall. Yeah, man, the no stipulation situation is really weird. They already had a regular match. Tatum got screwed. She showed up with a chainsaw last week, and now she just wants to wrestle her regularly. And then she stands tall on the go home. I mean, if this is going to be a 3-match series with a stipulation to come in the third, okay, maybe I can see that, but this is not strong enough to be dragged out further. Paxley was awesome here. Dame was trying way too hard to put an affect on her voice and show personality beyond what she has naturally, meaning she has personality. She doesn't need to fake personality. And that's the way this came across. It was completely unnecessary. Someone really needs to work with her. Paxley was predictably perfect. No notes whatsoever. She's ready to be women's champion in NXT in a real way with a long run, not the 2 weeks that she got previously. Ava came across Blake Monroe pouting in her office. Blake basically begged Ava to ensure there was a different referee for her match. Ava would not guarantee as much, but she gave Monroe advice, saying the only way she stands a chance next week is if the glamour shows up. I don't know. The only way she stands a chance against a neophyte that lucked into beating her is if she becomes the worst version of herself. That doesn't really play for me. I don't know that this segment was needed. I guess it depends how the title match is booked. Later backstage, Jordynne Grace told Thea Hale that she was into her celebration last week until Blake interrupted. Jordynne seemed to take some positivity from Thea, and Hale appreciated that, asking Grace to be in her corner to not only support her, but see Monroe cry again. You know what? They're really cute together. Like, kind of like a mom and daughter deal, which is not something you normally get in wrestling. I would be down to see more of their mentor-mentee relationship. It's made Grace come across way more calm and natural than a lot of her character work in the past. So I'm really into them together, and we'll see if it continues. Women's Superstar of the Year was between Kalani Jordan, Sol Ruka, JC Jane, Blake Monroe, and Tatum Paxley. Sol won, which was a straight-up travesty as far as I'm concerned. JC is a nominee for Women's Wrestler of the Year across all brands in the 2025 Getting Over Awards, aka the Meaties. And she is not even winning this for NXT. She should have run away with this award. 2-time champion and held the TNA Knockouts title too. What are we even doing here? I know the fans voted, but that is absolutely insane.
No. Don't like that.
Moment of the year went to Tatum Paxley winning the women's championship. That one was right on. But the most shocking moment of the year was JC beating Stephanie Vaquer. And I probably would have voted for that one because that was incomprehensible at the time. No one expected that. Joe Hendry held his New Year's Eve concert. It was basically a year in review that took shots at some heels, pretty good ones actually. It was not until his third verse when he mentioned Dark State that the heels interrupted with an immediate 4-on-1 beatdown ended by the toss powerbomb that still doesn't have a name. Before this happened, we saw Tony D'Angelo standing again in the shadows. He did not factor into anything here. Out the Mud beat Swipe Right, who appear to have been called up to NXT. OTM threw these guys around like they were nothing. The Neophytes got a run after taking out Bronco Nima's leg, but Lucian Price quickly overpowered them and even took out Jackson Drake, who ran into the ring. They hit their tilting power slam finisher for the win. Probably their most impressive performance yet, but the development has been extremely slow for these two guys. NXT Tag Team of the Year was between Hank and Tank Zaruka, the Culling Fatal Influence and Dark State, with Zaruka winning. Sad state of affairs when these were the only contenders. The NXT Tag Team division is in the gutter, and while Zaruka were the right winners, it's not like they actually accomplished anything this year. They teamed a bunch, lost a bunch, they never won the titles, didn't do anything. Tavian Heights beat Lexus King in 9 seconds, setting a new WWE speed and possibly NXT record as well. As the bell rang, Heights caught him from behind with a belly-to-belly suplex. This was probably one of the more interesting bookings we've got when it comes to WWE speed, but I mean, it's still a waste of time on NXT. I absolutely hate it. In terms of next week's New Year's Evil, there are 4 matches on the card. I'm going to go over them and give you a quick prediction. We're not going to do an ultimate preview or anything. North American Championship, Thea Hale against Blake Monroe. Obviously, the original title change was total happenstance, unplanned. They're clearly flipping it back to Blake here, and that's the right call. It would have been nice for them to shove a Thea title defense into NXT one of the last 2 weeks, but considering the shows were taped and they were long planned in advance, it obviously made sense that they did not. Tatum Paxley against Izzy Dame. Again, shocking that there's no stipulation here. Makes me believe Dame will somehow win, necessitating a third match. But I also don't see heel women going 3-0 on the show. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Tatum, even if it's my lowest confidence prediction out of the 4 matches for next Tuesday. Women's Championship, JC Jane defending against Kendall Gray. I'm not going to say a title change is impossible because JC and Fallon should be called up to the main roster as soon as possible. But I don't see Jane losing to a neophyte recent call-up, despite Gray being incredibly talented. She should really drop it to Paxley at Stand and Deliver, so I have JC retaining. In the NXT Championship, Oba Femi defending against Leon Slater. Despite how much effort WWE is putting into promoting Femi and Javon across Raw and SmackDown, I do not believe either of these guys are going to fully exit NXT until later this year. I've said it before, I'm saying it again now. It makes no sense to take the title off Oba after he just won it back. Even less sense to have a TNA wrestler do it. Even less sense to have it be someone who is Javon's on-screen best friend, unless you are going to turn Slater heel, and that's not going to happen. I'm sticking with Femi retaining and Evans winning at Stand and Deliver. Maybe they push it up to Vengeance Day if they are truly hankering to get Javon up to the main roster without any NXT responsibilities, but he cannot leave this territory without winning the NXT title, so Oba needs to retain for that to happen. And that is the preview for NXT New Year's Evil. Now, before we move on to AEW, I do need to remind you that whether it is Raw, SmackDown, or NXT premium live events on Netflix, I am all in with NordVPN. It's easy to set up. It's a drastically better viewing experience. You get high-quality streams and commercial-free shows. All you have to do is sign up at nordvpn.com/gettingover. You open the app, you quick connect to another country like Canada, the United Kingdom, you open Netflix and watch the show. That's it. NordVPN also allows you to get around online censorship or surveillance, protect your private data when web browsing, and avoid online threats. Plus, one NordVPN account, it can be used on 10 different devices. So get the best discount from NordVPN. Go to nordvpn.com/gettingover. Our link will give you 4 extra free months off the 2-year plan. And there's no risk because Nord has a 30-day money-back guarantee. So improve your WWE viewing, save money, browse safer online, and get the best discount for the best VPN at nordvpn.com/gettingover. We love having NordVPN as the official singular sponsor of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Moving over to AEW. I don't have any additional analysis to bring you from World's End last weekend, so we're just going to move on to AEW New Year's Smash. MJF opened Dynamite walking into the facility like he was on Raw, both in graphics and in person. I realized with this new hair, he kind of looks like a Dagestani. I don't know if you guys think the same thing. He unveiled the Triple B Championship belt again and cursed right away. I believe he said, F the big 3, it's big me. MJF then ran through his catchphrases before Kenny Omega interrupted on the big screen, saying he wants to become champion again as the new version of himself. At least he mentioned being willing to climb the ranks to earn it. Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland did their chain necklace entrances in the crowd. Security stopped them from crossing the barricade. MJF pointed out they need to earn another opportunity as they just lost to him. When they broke free, MJF ran away as they beat up all the security. Page did a buckshot lariat, flipping over Swerve's back in a really cool spot, probably the best on the entire show. Hangman promised to strangle MJF with his new belt. Swerve said, quote, "May the worst man win." The Ops then interrupted on the big screen with Samoa Joe incensed, claiming to be robbed of his title. Joe called Hook the greatest second-generation wrestler in history. Yeah, okay, bro.
This is bullshit, man!
And suggested they fight Hook and Powerhouse Hobbs next week. The Faces said, okay, we'll fight them if it's a lights-out match. Am I supposed to believe Hobbs and Hook have a semblance of a chance against these guys, and it's going to necessitate a lights-out stipulation and a match not involving Joe? Parts of this hit, others did not. I still love seeing Hangman and Swerve together, but it feels like AEW is really missing the boat by not actively running them as a two-man power trip. I want them winning the tag team titles, taking singles championship gold, perhaps imploding when it comes to the AEW title at the end of all of it. Their history is strong. They work great together. The buckshot was beautiful. But to MJF's point, they have no claim whatsoever to another title match at this juncture. MJF's promo, it was repetitive, as basic as can be, really disappointing coming off a big win. But I mean, this has been the problem with MJF. You know, he's run through his repertoire. Every once in a while, he'll break out something fresh and we'll, damn, yeah, he cut a great promo. But like 9 times out of 10, it's all stuff we've heard before. And it's pretty damn frustrating because you know he's better than that. Bandito beat the Beast Mortos in a non-title match. Not sure why this was needed, considering Bandito was already the #1 contender to the AEW title, having won the Dynamite Diamond Ring. As far as I know, there wasn't a specific build to it either. Bandito hit the XD and 21-plex for the win, B-level match. Brody King cut an English promo on his behalf, saying Bandito will give him, his partner, a title shot after he becomes double champion. Dude, you're a massive individual who hasn't won shit as a single. How about you go win some matches and earn a number one contendership? Don't just like rely on your friend to give you a match. And no, beating Lee Johnson in 52 seconds, which is what happened later, does not count. Ridiculous. This accomplished nothing. Bandito and King later interrupted another MJF catchphrase promo backstage. That was not much of anything either. TBS Championship main evented Mercedes Moné against Willow Nightingale. Willow hit a late gut-wrench powerbomb for a rope break when she missed a moonsault. Mercedes tried a frog splash but got blocked with double knees. Moné took a Death Valley driver on the ring apron but came back with two amigos ringside during one of the slowest counts from a referee I've ever seen. Mercedes countered a doctor bomb attempt into a suplex on the announce table. All of this, it only got a 9 count. Counter sequence followed with Mercedes twice unable to lift Willow from Monet Maker. Her pinning combination from World's End failed, so Willow rolled Mercedes over and up into Dr. Bomb to win the title. This was an awesome moment for Willow. She has long deserved another singles gold in AEW. A bunch of faces celebrated with her after the bell before Chris Statlander came down, gave her a huge hug. They celebrated being champions together, and AEW ended 2025 on a really positive note. Incredible reaction from the crowd. They seemed to not expect this, but came alive in the process of the move being landed. Very similar to what happened with Carmelo Hayes over on SmackDown. AEW even let the title win breathe, which it never does. Again, extremely similar to what happened with Melo last Friday. Celebration, pyro, the whole 9 yards. Moment was better because of it, and we say this all the time. Easily the best part of the show on Wednesday in terms of an overall segment and match. 4 stars, A-. A nice way for AEW to end the year, a continuation of Mercedes' downfall, losing all of her championships one by one. And I'm glad Monet is losing them too. It remains to be seen what's going to happen with all of those lesser straps. Is she going to go to those promotions? Is their talent going to get on AEW TV? Like, what's going to happen with the rest of them? That I still need to see. But so far, so good in terms of Mercedes dropping the titles. Now, all of those positives aside, there is some major hypocrisy at play here and some real confusing booking too. First, the hypocrisy. Does anyone remember why then Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out of WWE? Aside from the unquantifiable supposed disrespect or whatever Sasha has claimed without providing details, they were angry that WWE Creative wanted them to become number one contenders for the 2 women's titles while they were tag team champions. Yet here is Willow, who just won the tag team titles, which were just introduced to the company a month ago, becoming a singles champion. And by the way, beating Mercedes to do it. If you wanted the person who lost the belt to Mercedes, the TBS title, to beat her for it, then you shouldn't have made Babes of Wrath the inaugural champions for the tag team division. I mean, I agreed with them winning the tournament, but if I knew this was coming, maybe they should not have. So now Nightingale is going to be taking up 2 divisions, which makes me wonder, are they going to have like Sisters of Sin win those titles inside of 30 days because Willow cannot beat Mercedes and drop the TBS title anytime soon? She needs to have a long run with the singles belt. Also, the whole deal with Nightingale and Statlander, that was bungled so hard. Now they're best friends again after all of that. If Stat had, let's say, taken out Athena, who was trying to interfere and help Mercedes, I could buy it. But them celebrating that enthusiastically after everything they went through, that was really weak. Especially since, you may not remember this, Stat turned on Willow after she lost the TBS title the first time. Does she only like her when she's TBS champion? I just found this to be really annoying. Darby Allin got a promo package saying he's not numb to pain. He's more aware of it than anyone else. It gives him peace. He said his goal in 2026 is to stand atop AEW just like he did Mount Everest. And that can't happen until he takes care of the Death Riders. I thought you did, man. I thought you beat all of them. He said beating Pac is the last remaining accomplishment that he needs to make to take them out for good. And he doesn't know when that's going to happen. This was actually one of Darby's best promos ever. I'm not sure I understand the logic, though. Okay, let's say he beats Pac. And then what? The whole group disintegrates? Like Iron Man snapping, all the bad guys just go away? The Death Riders continue just as they have, unabated, despite losing all those matches the last couple of months, despite Jon Moxley losing all those matches. They're still a menace. They're just not holding the AEW title hostage. That's literally the only difference now than what was happening with them 6 months ago. Speaking of Mox, he beat Josh Alexander in a Continental Championship Eliminator, which had a new stipulation where a time limit draw would count the same as a win for the challenger. So Mox and all these other guys busted their asses for months in this round robin tournament to earn the title. And now 4 days after he won it, Alexander, a total loser, just gets an opportunity to earn a title match. Another heel from the Don Callis family. Alexander got cut open hard way, then opened his headgear so Mox could knock it off with hammer elbows before a sleeper led to a tap out. Strong match, 3.75 stars, B+. Commentary put over Mox's guts, basically forgetting everything that happened throughout the year and all of his cowardice over the prior few months. The gimmick is him selling his injuries and overcoming adversity to stand on top. But again, now he's a babyface. They're still heels, but they're not. I don't know what's happening with them. Shelton Benjamin and MVP stood on the stage afterward, staring him down. So Benjamin's going to get an eliminator next week. Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, and Tony Storm fought the Death Riders. So AEW basically ran back the mixed nuts match from World's End, including the dance performance, by the way. Mina Shirakawa was jealous that Tony likes working with Orange. For a company that prides itself on not repeating matches, they have been doing a lot of rematches on and off pay-per-view recently. Tony again got offense on Claudio Castagnoli. Wheeler Yuta, who was not in the match, distracted. That allowed Claudio to hit a pop-up European uppercut on Orange for the win. So now they're 1-1 in these. Literal 50-50 booking. Does that mean we're going to get a mixed nuts rubber match? So the faces are not just losers now, because that's the way they came off after this. Mox later cut a promo saying he ended the year where he started it, atop AEW. Not really, dude. You're Continental Champion, like the number 3 or 4 champion. You held the AEW Championship to start the year. Marina Shafir was holding some random title that was unexplained. The other guys said Darby had to go through them just to get to Pac, but Darby said he already did that. So why does he need to go through other people? Mox did all that losing, giving up. Death Riders are not splitting up after all. Is that what's happening? They're not turning on him. Mox is not suddenly a face in a sea of heels after World's End. I'm confused about all of this. National championship was on the line. I really hate saying that. National championship. That tells me college football, college basketball, any college sport. Ricochet beat Jack Perry to retain the title. Perry pinned Ricochet during the Continental Classic, which is why he got the opportunity, and that's fair enough. The Demand distracted. Ricochet won with Spirit Gun. Uninspiring bout. Demand then brought out Luchasaurus, a dinosaur wearing a shoulder sling. They lightly put a steel barricade onto his shoulder a few different times, then hit it with a steel chair. The latter was actually impactful. Ricochet hit Perry with a second Spirit Gun to the back of his head. So I guess Jack is going to win this title at a later date. Considering Jurassic Express is now done, Luchasaurus has a real shoulder injury, and really there's nothing else for him to do but go after the 5th men's singles title. And lastly, Thekla led a Triangle of Madness backstage promo, putting over Stat for spitting in her friend's face, but nevertheless wanted to take her place as AEW Women's Champion. AEW is doing this weird thing where it's having Julia Hart and Sky Blue say a line together in every promo. Like they're a couple of young possessed girls like you've seen in every horror movie ever. They deliver it deadpan and monotone, and I just keep thinking, who does this benefit? Certainly not them. Neither of them have developed one iota since joining this company. Thekla has exceeded expectations on the mic, so credit to her, because she led a pretty good promo here. And that was it. That wraps up Dynamite New Year's Smash. Obviously, AEW Collision came before World's End. We covered all the matches on that show were pretty much Continental Classic, so we covered all of that on the World's End Instant Analysis. Make sure you listen to that if for some reason you missed it, but that wraps this up. So this may normally be the end of the week for the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. That is not the case. The first week of 2026, we're going to be back on Friday with your 2025 year in review. Vintage Chris Vanini joining the Silver King Adam Silverstein for a 2025 wrap up. And then we're giving you 3 episodes next week, WWE, NXT and AEW, and the 2025 Getting Over Awards, aka the Meaties. So be sure to stay tuned to our social media for dates and also the ballot for the Meaties. That should be published on Friday, and we need all of your votes because you have a say in who wins all of these awards. So again, follow us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter and Blue Sky. You get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments for the show, and you can vote in the 2025 Getting Over Awards, aka the Meaties. When you follow us on YouTube, you can listen to full-length audio episodes and watch full-length video interviews. Don't forget, here at Getting Over,
It's all about the fight.
so head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. And please do not forget,
I happen to love the number 5.
hope you do as well. For $5 a month, $50 for the entire year, you can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. You'll get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, and exclusive news analysis posts every week. Support us as we continue to support you. buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. I hope everyone's 2026 is off to a great start. We are coming fast and furious the first 2 weeks of the year. And of course, we are now, or we will be, I should say, by the end of this month, the first week of February, on the road to WrestleMania 42. And this is where the Getting Over Wrestling podcast shines. So with that, it is time for the Silver King to sign off, wishing you a Happy New Year once more, and leaving you with 3 final words. Bye for now.